Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. If you want to know where it is worth putting your money for baby items, toddler items, little kid items that will last you beyond just that 6-month period or the year period, I'm not talking about impulse buys or things that look flashy and promise to save your life and give you back so much more sleep. I'm talking about things that will actually last the test of time while your kids are young and be worth the money. So if this is something that you're interested in, that you need to see, keep watching. Welcome back to my channel. My name is Julie. I'm an occupational therapist, a mom of 2 little ones, age 5 and 2. So I've been doing this parenting thing for about 5 years or so, and I have some thoughts on it and I thought I would share. Before we get into my top 10 items, I want you to know a few things about me. Just as a little disclaimer, maybe this is you, maybe not, but I think this will be helpful in understanding why I've chosen the things that I have. The first one is that I am pretty sticker shy, if that is the right term. Meaning, I'm not super easy to part with my money unless I feel like it is worth it, unless I perceive something to be worth the investment. Ironically, if I reflect on my buying habits, I think I'm almost more likely to spend money on higher ticket items that I think are worth the money, so things that cost more than like cheaper things. It's almost like I'm turned off by a super low price for something that I perceive should be more expensive, because in my head I'm like, it's not great quality, maybe it's made unethically, or it's, you know, not the best choice when it comes to spending my money. So I will probably go without things that I feel like are kind of gimmicky or short-term gain, and I would rather spend my money on things that are a lot more expensive. So that's just kind of my buying psychology. So along those lines, I want things to last. I want to buy something that's going to last me a long time, have multiple uses, maybe be reinvented to do different things, and I will go without, whether that's good or not, or a good choice or not, because I think this is something that's only going to be helpful for a short period of time. An example would be a changing table. Let's just say I ended up finding one on the street that was free. Probably not the best use or best decision, but we no longer need it, so I don't know. I feel like you could argue whether you need a changing table or not, depending on your furniture that you already have. I hate clutter. Yep, I really don't like it. It really irks me. Does anyone still use that word, irk? It really annoys me. I feel like some people have blinders on to clutter and it doesn't bother them. Like my husband, he can kind of just filter that out. But for me, it irritates me, and I spend a lot of time tidying things up and decluttering and putting things away. A lot of potentially wasted time. So what I'm really trying to do is to reduce the amount of clutter that's coming into my house. It's continuously a work in progress. You know, if you live in this world as a human being, clutter's gonna find you somehow. So that's something I actually want to make a whole video about, so make sure that you subscribe to this channel so that you can see all about that. But I will try. I had an example of kind of becoming a major clutterphobe. I remember this very clearly when my first child was born, probably 3 or 4 months after he was born. I just wanted to declutter everything. I wanted to get rid of furniture. I wanted to get rid of all my clothes. I did that actually. I like decluttered half of my wardrobe, and now I have nothing to wear, I feel like. It's all gray, blue, maybe some white, and black, but that's a whole separate conversation. Yeah, I kind of became allergic to clutter, and then what happens is that you just start throwing things out without really thinking about it, and maybe then you need to buy it again, and that's the freaking worst. So I just want you to know that I don't like clutter. That's basically the point of that little spiel. The other thing that is important to know before watching this whole list is that I live in a fairly small place. I mean, it depends what you perceive as small, but we live in a 2-bedroom apartment. I think it's approximately 1,000 square feet, maybe a little less than that if that gives you any kind of ratio. The kids share a room. My husband and I obviously share a room. We have a fair amount of storage for this size apartment and for New York, but it's not amazing. So one thing that I don't have a lot of is like countertop space or surface space or shelving. So keep that in mind, that I am going to prioritize having more of a clutter-free aesthetic versus buying lots of things. And again, I would rather do without all the little gimmicky things, or maybe all the organizational tools, and have the space or have the ability to grow into the space. So you might have a lot more space. You know, I feel like things are fine if you have a place for them. I'm not advocating for you to get rid of everything, but everything needs a spot so that you can stay organized and live in a clutter-free environment, which I think is very important for adults and children alike. But I have limited space, so just keep that in mind, that I'm not gonna be into buying lots of little like trinkets and things like that. Then the other thing that's very important to remember with what I'm about to tell you is that we live in New York City, and as such it is a very walking culture, and with kids it's a whole new level of carrying things, wearing children on your body, lugging strollers up and down subways. We do actually have a car, but we don't drive our car on like a regular basis like you would in a suburb. So you know, the stroller that we choose is different, the carrier that we're going to choose is different, and where we invest in certain things, it's like things that need to be very sturdy and long-lasting and durable, because they're going outside on the New York City streets. And all weathers, right? You've got snow, you've got crazy rain, it's boiling hot, you know, it's just like we run the whole gamut. You need like an all-weather system when it comes to moving your kids around when you live in New York City. All right, so watch to the end of this video where I kind of give my recommendations of what I would do differently if I had to go back and repurchase everything. If I could scrap everything, go back in time 5 years or 5.5 years when I was newly pregnant, finding out what I'm gonna buy for my family, I'm gonna share those tips at the end, so make sure you watch. Okay, so let's jump in to my 10 favorite large ticket items for babies, toddlers, and little kids. Because we're still in the little kid phase. Okay, ready? I'm excited. Okay, so the first thing is a Nest Cam. I think having a baby monitor is pretty crucial. I think most parents nowadays would like to have one. I, as I told you, was not educated in baby stuff before having a child, and I was also kind of allergic to how expensive things were, and just like, do we really need this? Is this really worth it? And so we had a more affordable but still kind of expensive baby monitor on our registry that someone actually bought for us, but it was still like a couple of $100s because electronics are going to be expensive. And I'm not sure if the Nest Cam was available when my son was born or pre-born, but you know, I'm sure something of it, something similar to it was, if not. But we now have a Nest Cam because the other one broke. I would probably say 2.5 years in or something, it broke, and we had to buy one ourselves anyway. So I would have rather put the more expensive one on our registry, or asked for contributions or something, and just bought that from the beginning if I had to go back. So the Nest Cam, what's very different about this one versus the one we had before is that it links to an app on your phone. We also actually have our thermostat linked to Nest, and I think it's a Google product if I'm correct. Both my husband and I can operate the camera and look at our kids when we are not at home, whereas before, you know, we had to be looking at the little baby monitor screen in order to see what was happening in the baby's room, which is fine, but you know, in retrospect, having nannies and things, you know, I should have just got a camera that links to the internet from the beginning. Should have paid the money. Some people will even buy multiple cameras, so our camera is set up in the kids' room only, so you can only see what's happening in their room. You can't see what's happening like in the living room or whatever, but you live and learn. Nothing terrible happened that I'm aware of, but I think it would be good to have had that, especially as someone who works outside the home for like significant amounts of time. So definitely the Nest Cam, I love it, I recommend it to all my friends. It's pricey, but 100% worth it, and I think much better quality than the one we had before, so I don't anticipate that it's going to quiche out on us anytime soon. I think it's pretty good and probably has a warranty on it anyway. Okay, so then another really important thing, and something that we in retrospect kind of regretted not buying in the first place, is a high quality double stroller. So I again had a stroller on my registry that a few of my friends purchased together, and it was great, and the stroller itself was fine, but it wasn't the most expensive or the fanciest, which is again fine. Strollers are very expensive. Like, think about spending $1,000 minimum, depending what it is and depending what you need it to do. But we ended up having more than one child, and that was always the intention. We were gonna have more than one kid, but I think I just sort of was superstitious about it, and I was like, we just need one stroller. I was trying to make this one stroller do everything, which is a downfall of mine, right? That's what I said, one of my biases. And I had a stroller that could, the reason I didn't get the stroller that I'm about to tell you about was because it was much heavier than the one I ended up purchasing. So the stroller that we use and that I like and I would recommend to people is an Uppababy Vista. And I think the thing that deterred me in the beginning, well, A, the price, it's expensive, and B, it's just so overwhelming. C, what if I didn't have a second kid? Then I wouldn't need a double stroller. But here's the thing about these kinds of strollers is that you don't have to purchase the double part until you actually have another child. So the stroller in itself, and the reason I like this one and recommend it, is just, you know, the frame and it comes with a bassinet, which that's another whole conversation. Bassinet for when the baby's really small, and then once they probably 3 to 4 months old, they can't fit in that bassinet anymore. But you also want to start having them propped up. But you can't put them into a seat, I think it's called a rumble seat, until they have good head control. So you need to wait. But you can get like inserts that you put in there that they would use for like a month or two. So anyway, okay, side note. So when you get the initial Uppababy stroller, you get the frame, you get the rumble seat, and then you get the bassinet. This makes it just a single stroller. You can't, it's not a double stroller at this point. And I don't think I fully understood that. But that's still an expensive investment. Super nice stroller though. And now looking back, the amount of times that we use this stroller and the abuse that it takes by being not on like nice flat surfaces, but like on cobbled, I don't know, dirty, kind of broken New York City streets, you need a really high quality stroller. So if you're in an area where you need to walk a lot over all kinds of terrain, you want to look at a stroller that is well built, that has really thick, strong tires, because it's kind of like a mini car. Those tires in theory could, I don't know, go flat and you need to replace them or something like that. And the thing about Uppababy that's very nice is that they have great customer service. So we had a situation, because we were just using the stroller so much, where the actual bar of the stroller broke and the whole frame needed to be replaced. And they sent us a whole new one, I think totally free. Yeah, I mean, they have great customer service. So here's the thing, this is why I recommend that. If your intention, and even if it isn't actually, but if your intention is to have more than one child, or maybe you're not gonna have more than one child, but you would want to maybe do a nanny share or have the ability to have another child, or with this particular type of stroller, what's really nice about it and what people really like is that it has a really big basket at the bottom, so you can put lots of stuff in it, go grocery shopping and add a scooter and add a bag and all this kind of stuff, and you're not like cramming stuff in there. I could do a whole review on an Uppababy stroller if you want me to, but the thing is, like, when you decide or when you need to add a second kid to it, you buy additional adapters for it, you buy an additional seat, you can do lots of different configurations, and so you don't actually purchase the double part of it until later on, and I don't think I realized that. They do also make single strollers that are also very, I think it's called the Uppababy Cruise, that are also very durable and have lots of space at the bottom, but they don't have the ability to add another child on there. So the same thing could happen. You buy a stroller, you buy the Cruise, or you buy a single stroller, and then you're like, oh, I need to add another seat, have another baby, or whatever it is, circumstances have changed, and then you kind of are stuck, because what do you do with this stroller? So if I had to go do it all over again, I would buy an Uppababy Vista from the beginning without all the additional parts, and then when the next baby comes, if the next baby comes, add in all the extras, because there's lots of little extras that come in. Okay, so sticking in stroller land, again, something that I didn't realize living in New York City is that you probably need more than one stroller. I would probably say people have average on like three strollers, but you can definitely do it with 2. And the reason I say that you need another stroller is something like an Uppababy Vista is massive to transport if you're going on public transport. So specifically like on a subway or a bus or something where they will make you fold up a stroller. Subway, You know, I'm filming this, I can't ignore this, but I'm filming this during pandemic 2020 and I have not been on a subway for a long time, but my kids are also old enough now to walk. But if I ever do go back on a subway and I needed a stroller for some reason, I would not take my Uppababy. I would not travel with my Uppababy. It is not designed for like trips, unless you're going to take it in the car, you're going to fold the whole thing up, but it's such a pain in the butt to do that. It's heavy, but it's possible. We do fold ours up every day because we put it in the hallway closet and it's able to fold up pretty small considering the size of it, so you know, it works for us. But if you're going to be traveling, you need to get what is called an umbrella stroller, and it's called an umbrella stroller because typically the handles are shaped like umbrellas. I think that's why. At least the classic ones. Like when I was a baby, the McLaren type of thing, that's like your classic umbrella stroller. Nowadays, people like a yo-yo stroller, which is a super compact stroller that folds up so tiny. I don't have one of these, so I'm not going to spend too much time on it. The reason I don't have one of these is because it's very expensive. It's like buying a whole new system, anything from like $500 and up. We purchased a Uppababy G-luxe stroller. We had a G-lite one, which is like another version of it, which we liked because it was super light and easy to fold up and kind of travel with, because we traveled a lot when our kids were really young, and I would still take a stroller with me for my 2.5-year-old. Even the 5-year-old probably gets tired of walking if you can still fit in there. I haven't tried for a while, but you definitely need an umbrella type of stroller if you're living in a city where you don't drive a lot, or if you want to travel, because you just need something that you can quickly open up, maybe with one hand, and have your child sit in there. They can maybe sleep in it or something, and it's just easy to travel with. The stroller itself is the traveling part, you know, so you definitely need to consider 2 strollers. But I would not buy an umbrella stroller until way down the line, because a baby cannot go in an umbrella stroller until they're older anyway, like a few months old, because they need better head control. Actually, I think it's probably like 6 months old that they recommend you start with that. And you can carry them on your body, which is what I'm going to talk about next. Okay, so again, I think this depends on your lifestyle and you need to really evaluate. And I know it's hard to know what you will need with baby. So again, this is maybe something that you wait to purchase, and that is a baby carrier, of which they come in many different styles and sizes and colors and brands. We use this one, which is, it's gonna look really strange, but this is an Ergobaby carrier, and they probably come out with a new one since I used it. Fun fact, used this for maybe, at least for my first child, so probably like 2 years or whatever it is. Had no idea that there was this little hood. So this is a public service announcement to anybody who uses one of these. There's like a little flap, there's like a little flap that clicks onto the straps, and I had no idea that it was there this whole time. Anyway, we actually ended up using this a ton for my husband, because I liked in the beginning when baby was really small to use like a wrap that's kind of just like this long piece of fabric, but it's a little tricky to figure out how to use it, and it doesn't keep the settings, right? So we use this a ton. My husband used this so much because it can kind of be all different sizes, and it's kind of comfortable. It's got like nice thick straps. You click the back on. You can get a little newborn insert if you wanted to use this with your baby right from the beginning. And I think if I had to do it again, I don't know, I enjoyed having the long wrap, and then it meant that I had a carrier and my husband had a carrier, so we didn't have to kind of share all the time. But you could probably just get away with using one, and then maybe the little newborn insert if you wanted to use it with baby right from the beginning. If you just want to, if you are able to wait for this for a little while, then you can wait until baby's a little bit older. And they have videos online how to use it, but it's super explanatory. I guess you should watch the videos if you want to just see how to position your baby, because you want to make sure that their hips are well aligned and all that kind of stuff. But this is pricey, and we got this as a gift, and I really, really liked it. You can wash it. It washes really well. This has been for 2 kids. Great for traveling, because I think the less stuff you have, the better. So you can wear the baby. Awesome. So highly recommend this. Although again, you don't necessarily have to buy it immediately, and because we walk so much with our kids, this is really useful for us. I'm just gonna put this down. But if you're not gonna be walking a lot with your child, or you would prefer to have them in the stroller, you don't necessarily need to invest in a very expensive carrier. I will say though that if you are gonna wear your child, which is really great to do, like there's a lot of attachment parenting philosophy around that, make sure you get a good quality carrier, not only for your baby, but for you as well. You want something that has really nice straps, it's really easily adjustable and customizable to you. And so I think investing in it and kind of looking around versus buying something that's cheaper, you just look at why. But maybe wait until you see what you need and then decide to buy, because for most people this is just like a click away and you can get it next day or 2 days later, or if you went to a baby store they have them. So you know, you don't need to feel like you have to buy all of this stuff before baby. I also will say that that particular one, that Ergo carrier, comes with all these adjustments. So because New York City, we bought this like fleece, I guess it's like a little sack blanket that goes over it, and then there's a hood for the baby so that you can carry them in like really bad weather. I don't know if it's so necessary. It's kind of expensive for the price, but it was very nice to use and have while we did it, but we didn't use it a ton. So again, I would not buy something like this until you actually know that you're going to use it for a significant amount of time. Okay, so not something that's necessarily super high ticket item, but something that's really, really useful that we've used for both of our children. We've actually bought 2 of them, or 1 for us too, but that is a sound machine. So we've used the Dohm's sound machine, which is on a lot of lists. It's very popular. I think it's probably about $40 or $50, so it's not like ultra cheap. And there are other cheaper sound machines out there for sure. You could even use like sound machine app on your phone or an iPad, which we have done when we've traveled. We didn't want to bring the sound machine with us, but honestly, I would probably just bring it with me because it's small enough. As long as you travel, like as long as you can plug it in somewhere. So I'm going to show you what it is because I have one right in front of me. So you know how sometimes things are just the simpler the better, right? This is not fancy. It doesn't play lullabies. It doesn't have lights. It doesn't project anything on a screen. It doesn't talk to you, even though it kind of looks like a Google Home or something. But this is a white noise machine, and that's all it does, is makes white noise. It has a few settings, like less white noise, more white noise, and then you can like turn the top and turn the side to make it a little bit louder. It's really nothing fancy, but I think it's like a bestseller. I think people love it, and we really like it. We have one in our bedroom for when the neighbors get noisy, or we just want, you know, if there's like trucks outside because hashtag New York City, or I guess if a child fell asleep in our room and we wanted to kind of block out the noise in the living room or something. You know, I don't know if we would have sound machines as much if we lived in a big house or if we lived in a quiet area, but living in an apartment, it's definitely helpful because you want the sound machine not only to kind of trigger the baby to go to sleep, which anything that can help my child go to sleep I will buy, but it's also because then you can make a noise if your child is sleeping in the room with the sound machine on, and then like for us, our living room is right next to the bedrooms, it's in between the 2 bedrooms, so then you could watch TV or watch a movie or something or talk, and the hope is that the sound machine will kind of block out that outside noise and keep the child sleeping. We also like the way that our apartments are set up, you know, we could hear our neighbor's TV on the other side, which was not great. So it's nice just to have a sound machine, but I think also with being habitual, it triggers your child to go to sleep. So it's very, very important. Oh man, I feel like this video is getting really long and I have a whole list, but I might split this up into separate things. So if you're interested in seeing what accessories I recommend for baby and what toys I recommend for baby, child, that I feel like are worth the investment, then let me know in the comments. Okay, so then something else. I know I've spoken about strollers and, you know, being in New York City, carriers and stuff, but if you do have a car, you do really want to look into getting a high quality car seat and spending the money for something that's going to last you a long time. Car seats are one of those things that, you know, will last you many years, and you kind of have to figure out, you know, what I struggled with is like, okay, so do I have to buy an infant car seat for when they're tiny, and then I have to buy a new car seat, or my personality or me, I want to just buy one car seat. I don't want to have to buy several. So my solution for that was that someone lent me an infant car seat that they barely used. You also have to check expiry dates. had a total disaster with that, but that's a separate conversation. You have to make sure that, you know, the important thing about a car seat is that it fits the child in their head. It's like not lolling everywhere, especially a tiny, tiny baby. So one of my friends was very kind and she lent me a car seat, an infant car seat. And you're like, well, Julie, what happens if you don't know any friends who have baby gear to lend you? You know, that's like the perfect situation where this person no longer needs a car seat anymore and then you need one at that time. And yes, I understand. And that's the hard thing about being a new mom with not having like a mommy network. And so I would think if you're going to use a car a lot with your child, you do need a car seat. And you can buy a car seat that as an addition to the Uppababy that I spoke about, and they have attachments and it goes on there. And that might be something, because it's such a safety thing, that you need to purchase, which is only going to last you as long as that child can fit in a car seat. Fun fact, a child grows out of a car seat when its head starts to creep above the back of the car seat, and you know, if it's like shoulders are down like that. So typically, at least for my kids, it's been about a year that they can stay in an infant car seat, but it might be sooner than that for your child. So really the car seat that you're going to buy after that is the one that you're kind of going to invest in and have for a long time, and kind of can change up rear facing, forward facing, booster seats, I don't know, all these things that I still need to figure out. But the next car seat up, the one that we have now, which is Britax, and I will leave it linked down below so you can go have a look. We have the same car seat for both children. One is 2.5, one is 5. So it's the same car seat. Maybe the straps are like a little bit different, but both of them can fit in there. And I don't feel like we need to invest in any more car seats anytime soon. So that's just a disclaimer. So a baby car seat you will need. But along the lines of car seats, it's a little bit different. And again, don't go and buy this until you actually need it. And it's not super expensive, but something that we really found helpful because we traveled a lot. Now we don't go anywhere, but no one else is going anywhere, I guess, is a travel car seat. Because a proper car seat that's supposed to permanently stay in your car is so heavy. And we have traveled with that before, but it is like 30 pounds or so. It's very heavy. It's designed for heavy duty impact, heaven forbid, and it is designed to stay in the car, not to be carted around. So I actually have a video about this car seat that I'm talking to you about, which in my travel video when I flew to South Africa with both kids, we've got them these car seats because we put them on the airplane and they're nice and light, but they double up as actual car seats. Because the thing is, if you're going somewhere where you need to drive and rent a car, you can rent car seats often, but they are like the cheapest car seat typically, because you are renting them from a car rental company, and they are not anything special. So the one that we purchased for travel is called a Cosco car seat, not to be confused by Costco, which is what I thought it was for the longest time. And if you're going to be traveling a lot, or you don't have a car, and so you don't want to buy a proper expensive, massive, heavy car seat, these are great alternatives if you're getting into an Uber or a taxi. Because if you need a car seat to take your kids somewhere, like to the airport, or I don't know, to go somewhere in a car, and you don't have your own car with a permanent car seat, you are going to struggle to find an Uber that has a car seat. It's going to really restrict you. So I would definitely recommend considering this if you're not a car driving family. It might be really helpful. We also borrowed from friends, which again, they were so generous to lend to us, but then if they need to travel and like to get it back and forth, it's a pain in the butt. But so I think it is worth the investment, just saving you the time and frustration of having your own car seats and knowing that your kids are going to be safe. When you're driving in a foreign country or in another city, you have a car seat for them. That's yours. Look, it's not the gold standard of car seats, but it's better than nothing, and it's pretty good. And it doubles up as an airplane constriction situation. See that video to look and see how we did it. Okay, so then one other thing that I think is worth spending the money on as a high ticket item, again, depends on your situation. You may want to wait a little bit, but this is having a second breast pump. Especially if you are a working mom and you need to transport pumps between home and work, I would highly recommend having a second one. And the reason I have it on this list is because typically, at least in the United States, most insurance carriers will cover one breast pump. I speak about this a lot in my long-term successful breastfeeding videos, so I will link that above. You can go check that out and in the description box. But I really found it helpful to have one breast pump that I kept at home so that I could pump milk for the baby when I was going to go to work, and then another one that I kept at work to pump milk while I was at work and away from my baby. The first time around I used a Medela one. I can't remember what the full name of it was, but it was like quite a heavy duty one, not designed to really be transported, so that's why I liked having it in one spot, and that was my one for work. And then and I also only worked part-time then, so I had that one at work, and then I think I had like just a more like mobile one, like battery operated one at home. And then when I had a second child, I was able to get another breast pump, and then I had that one at home, so then I had two of them. But if you're in a situation where you're going to be going back to work and you want to pump at home or have the flexibility to pump at home and pump at work, I would highly recommend that you get your breast pump from insurance, and then you can purchase another one yourself or get people to buy it for you on your Baby Registry or whatever it is, so that you're not transporting parts, so that you're not losing things. You might want to consider getting the same breast pump for home and work, so that the parts are interchangeable and you can kind of use them wherever. But I think it's really useful. It's just something that if breastfeeding or providing breast milk for your child is something that you want to do, this is a way to do it much more easily. It's by having two breast pumps, even though it seems expensive and you're like, how long am I going to use this for? But at the very least, have one, which you will get from your insurance, so then you're not paying for anything. But if other people are willing to buy you a breast pump, then it's something I definitely found very useful. Okay, and then another fairly high ticket item that we were actually gifted, I think we were given secondhand, so it really depends. We didn't pay for it, but it was really helpful, especially with travel. But I can see now how it could be really helpful just in your home in general. But that is some kind of travel crib or pack and play. I know people really like to buy these. Often people who, if you live in two-story homes, you would have the baby's actual crib or bed upstairs, and then you have the pack and play or travel crib downstairs. I think now, you know, in retrospect, we had a really nice crib that someone gave us as well, but you could easily have the baby in a travel style pack and play until you're almost ready to move them into a proper bed. It really depends what you want. So that travel crib would double up in so many different ways. Especially with pack and plays, you can have the baby in the smaller part of it, and so the newborn baby is in that part. Then when they get too big for that, they move into the travel crib. The only thing I would say is that it's like a lot of bending down and that kind of stuff, but typically when you're in any crib, it's going to be a big like drop down to get so this child doesn't escape, right? But you can fold it up and store it, which is so nice. So I think a benefit of that is if you have a break between having babies or whatever the case may be, or you think you're done having babies and whoops, you're not, you can store a travel crib, whereas like an actual crib, like what are you gonna do with that? Like we had to give away our proper wooden, very high duty crib because we needed to get a bed for my younger child, and where are we gonna put this crib? Like we can't, there's no place to store it, you know? So I think having a travel crib is a really good idea for a baby. And you know, then you can also use it when you travel, and it like works in so many different ways. You get different kinds. We had a baby Bjorn, and I really like that. Once you get the hang of like how it actually folds up and everything, you're good, you're good. Sometimes that's a little bit confusing. I wish they made these gadgets for parents just a little bit more obvious, you know, because you're tired and you don't have time to start fighting with things like car seats and putting them in a car. Oh my goodness. Do yourself a favor as a new parent and practice using the car seat before this baby arrives, because man oh man, it's like you get performance anxiety when you're trying to put a tiny little baby in a car seat and get going. Okay, I mean, I have spoken so much now, so if you want to know any more products, I do have a few other things that I have found very useful, then please let me know in the comments. But this video is going to be so long. I feel like I've talked so much, so I don't want to overwhelm you, but these are just like core products that I think are really useful for moms and dads and parents and everybody. So if you made it to the end of that list, thank you so much for sticking with me. And I did promise that I had some ideas of what I would do differently at the end of the video. So here we go. Got them on my little notes over here. So the first thing is a baby registry. So this is a big deal, and I think probably if you're watching this video, you may be interested in constructing your own baby registry or what to buy someone who has a baby registry. I think if I had to do it all over again, because I was guessing a lot of the time, I didn't really know what I was doing, especially for the first one. I kind of just put stuff on there that was wonderful for people to buy and fun for them to buy, but I'm not sure if it was the most useful thing, because you don't, as I've said throughout this video, you don't know what you're going to need until you're actually doing it and using it. And I think as parents, I know for a fact that we are the most vulnerable group, and marketers love to push products on us because as a desperate parent, you will buy anything that promises to make your life easier. And I don't want that for parents. Like, I don't want you to be taken advantage of. You're already bringing a new life into this world who you're going to have to feed and clothe and clearly take on a vacation or whatever it is with all the stuff that I've been talking about. But baby products are expensive, and then you don't use them for very long. You use them for 6 months and then you're like done. So, or maybe not even at all, you know. So I really feel passionate about not purchasing things that you don't need and wasting money. So if I had to do it differently, the way I would set it up is kind of like a honeymoon fund. So you know, you get those honeymoon funds where everybody can contribute however much they feel, and then the couple decides how they want to spend it, or they're going to put the money towards a flight or hotel. You can also have experiences on there in the honeymoon fund, and perhaps that's where you can put your big ticket items, because there are going to be certain things that you do want. So like a stroller, for example, and then people donate money or contribute money to a stroller, because you're not going to expect someone to just pay for the whole thing. I mean, that would be nice, you know, but if they wanted to contribute, you know, a certain amount of money to the stroller, then that's something that's really worth putting on your baby registry. So I would definitely do that, rather than having tons of little things that you think you may need. Like, I wouldn't put toys and clothes necessarily on my baby registry, because people love to give those without kind of consulting what you would need. They love to give it as a nice to have. So I wouldn't put those kind of things on. I would put the big ticket items that I've spoken about, and then like a few odd essentials that come up as well. Okay, then this kind of goes without saying, because I've said this so much, but don't rush into buying things. So if I could go back to my former self, it is so fun to buy for your baby, and it's, you know, but save that for other people's babies maybe, but I just feel like this is probably so much time and money wasted when you rush into a purchase versus being intentional about it. I mean, this goes for anything, but especially for babies, there's so much cute stuff, and sure, give yourself a budget to kind of buy the fun but not necessarily necessary stuff. I think that's a great idea, to just have a little fun side, but stay away from too much online shopping until you really have identified that you need something, and you found people online or in blogs or in your family that you can trust their judgment and their recommendations for stuff for baby. People that have been through it, you know? Okay, so finding people that are parents, that are recent parents, right? That are in the same like situation or phase as you. I found this was hard when I was having a baby, because I was kind of one of the first people at my job, within my friend group probably, to have a child. And so I kind of was flying blind. I felt like it. I remember when we went stroller shopping, and my husband's like, well, I really want this one. He wanted the Uppa baby one, but you know, he hadn't really done any research, so I was like, didn't really believe him. Maybe I should have believed him. But you go to these baby stores and like test drive products and stuff, you really have no idea. And as I said to you earlier, I wanted a stroller that did everything, and then we quickly realized that doesn't exist. You can't have the super robust stroller that has tons of space and everything, that also is going to go on an airplane. It's just, it really depends on your needs. So I would see if you can find one or two, and not more than that, Facebook groups that are for moms having babies around the same time as you. You'll probably find in that group that there are going to be moms who have had a child before and kind of know what works for them, what doesn't. Asking select family members and friends whose lifestyle you have a similar one to, or whose style you like and that kind of thing and want to emulate, asking them what they really liked, but being very open and cautious about what you buy and about what you consume as well. So going on Instagram, you know, being careful about who you're following and who are you comparing yourself to. Like someone who lives in the suburbs, has a huge budget, you know, it doesn't intend to travel anywhere, versus someone who lives in an apartment in a busy city, who works, or whatever the case may be, on who's frugal. You need to kind of like look at what they are purchasing and understand that, you know, a lot of things are portrayed as ultra important and necessary, but they're really not. You really could get away with it if you had to, and if your budget restricted you from buying lots of like fun purchases. I would leave those fun things for people to give you as gifts versus you buying them yourself or wasting valuable baby registry space. I would wait and see if you really need them. I think also that moms have this, we're kind of programmed to have a more of a scarcity mindset where we think we need everything. And you know, you see all these nursery tours on YouTube and all this baby preparation, and that is great, but it depends what your goals are. If you want to really be intentional about your purchases and try before you buy kind of situation, you might not want to have this massive whole nursery with every item of clothing in every different size until you experience it, because you know, you don't know what these babies are going to need, and typically you'll get a million 0 to 3 month onesies and then have nothing for the sort of 9 to 12 month age group, or heaven forbid they still need clothes after they turn 1. Yeah, even though they probably don't want to wear clothes and they can take them off by then. But you know, this like, oh, you have your whole child's, you know, God willing, your whole child's life ahead of them that has different stages that need things. So don't go ahead and buy ahead of yourself. You know, I have always regretted, I mean almost always regretted buying things for my kids when they're not ready for it. So buying shoes on sale for the next size up. I don't know, for me it doesn't work, because then we get to that size and they don't want to wear them, or the weather's not right, or there's something else that they want. I don't know, or you know, it just doesn't work. So I think waiting until you actually need something and then doing your research and having an intentional purchase, not only will this reduce the amount of stuff that you bring into your house, which I think is really important, but you're probably much more likely to get it right and actually buy things that you're going to use. Okay, so if you have stuck with me throughout this whole video, thank you so, so much. I really appreciate you watching. Make sure to subscribe, give this video a big thumbs up if you liked it and gained value from it. And please let me know what other lists of baby things that you would like me to do. So I mentioned a toy essential list and accessories / clothing list. If there's anything else that you think would be helpful to you as a new parent, or things that you need to kind of upskill your parenting game, maybe books or something for different ages, please let me know in the comments below and I will make those videos for you. I'm super excited to do that. This has actually been so fun. I didn't think I would have anything to say, and boy was I wrong. So I hope you enjoyed this video. Thank you for watching, and I will see you soon. Bye!